Hi, I'm Kevin Klein with our Winnipeg Sun columnist Royce Koop, who is also a professor of political science at the University of Manitoba. Royce, thank you very much for joining me on another issue. And the issue today that I want to talk to you about is an article in the CBC. I'm not a fan of the CBC. They've personally attacked me a couple of times, so I have my own feelings. But I saw a story that really caught my attention, and it was a bit of an attack on MLA Josh Guntner of the Progressive Conservative Party here in Manitoba. And they go after him because of a quote where he said, I hope, and he put this on his Facebook, I hope that and he's talking about the gentleman who ran the stop sign and killed a mother and a daughter, an 8-year-old child. I hope that he faces the full brunt of the law and that he is not, and that if he is not a Canadian citizen, that he is deported, which is what happened in the Humboldt case. Not a Canadian citizen. After he serves this time, supposed to be deported. They went on to talk about the fact that he said we need to crack down on cheap foreign labor in the trucking industry and especially at truck driving schools. He said who have who Gunter, sorry, was a truck driver. So he's talking about something he knows about. He used to drive semi
Hmm.
trucks. And I thought it was really interesting because the CBC came after him for that. However, the CBC, being a little bit hypocritical, has done a number of stories through Marketplace, and I'll quote the CBC. Marketplace uncovers shocking details about how some new recruits are finding their way onto our roads, including through bribes, forged documents, and failure of oversight and enforcement. In the Winnipeg Sun, we did a story that went national on the fact that there are groups that are bringing in new Canadians under visas and paying them next to nothing because they're keeping money for their visa fee, keeping money for the place for them to live, for food and everything. They're working for
Yeah.
peanuts, quite frankly. So when I saw this article, it really bothered me that, here's he's a guy that has kids himself, drives that highway himself and got emotional
Yeah.
and gets attacked for that. Am I wrong to be upset with the CBC for that?
No, I mean, as you say, we know there are real problems with these schools. And the logical response to this, we're going to see more accidents. If you're not training people properly, if there's real problems, then this is what you're going to see. I mean, I think with Gunther, I have kind of two views. I think there is a place for politicians to try to moderate conflict. And we don't really want politicians kind of exploding at everything that happens. But on the other hand, we want politicians to be authentic. We want them to be real people. And in this situation, this mother and her little girl were killed. If you're going to get angry about something, what else is there to be angry about? What other emotion can you feel in response to this? So I try to give politicians a little bit more leeway to express what they actually feel. And in this situation, he actually kind of walked back his comments after the CBC came out. I think that's a reasonable, responsible thing to do. But I really can't fault him for being angry. I can't fault him for being emotional about it. I was pretty angry myself when I read that article.
As was I, and I appreciate your comments on that. I agree with you, but I do feel that I guess my problem is two things, right? Now, the gentleman who was charged is on the run. Police don't know where he is.
Yeah,
They have a Canada-wide warrant out for him now. So if he went across the U.S. border, we'll never see them again. If that's the case, we don't know. But he's on the run. We do know that, and the RCMP have the warrant out there. But why is it a news story? Like, why do we have a public broadcaster paid with tax dollars who are just as accountable as politicians in my book? If politicians are
yeah,
getting money from the taxpayer, so is every reporter, producer, everybody at the CBC is only living because we're giving them money, right? That's how they make their living. So, but why do they consider this news? I guess that's what I don't understand. Like, is this what our society is becoming? They just want to hear like it's gossip, it's tabloid stuff, it's National Enquirer stuff to me.
yeah, yeah. Well, the other thing too is he representing the views of his constituents? Is he being a good representative? I can guarantee you that you walk into every cafe, every gas station, every restaurant in Borderland, people are angry about this, just like every other Tim Hortons in this province. And so, he's giving voice to that. That's being a good representative, is representing what people say. Sometimes we do want them to be responsible, don't fly totally off the handle, but I can't hold it against him. This is what people are saying. And if speaking as someone, I almost got hit by a truck once driving through a red light. It was terrifying. My daughter was in the back seat. We need to address these problems. This is a problem, and it's something that elected officials, politicians need to pay attention to and do something about. And if this MLA is hoping to draw attention to or helping to draw attention to that, that's great. I'm happy about that.
I agree with you 100%. Thank you. I'll still go on record as I'm disappointed that this is the type of journalism, well, because I don't believe it is journalism that we get from a public broadcaster that is paid by taxpayer funds. I'm really reaching my limit, especially as somebody who's been involved in the media most of my life. Since when did social media become our sources for news?
Yeah, a lot of people use it exactly for that. Frankly, I kind of do that myself, to be honest. Like I have my normal things that I check, but the things that people post online, they do kind of direct the news that I consume. And the problem with that is that social media favors more sensational stories than meaty, substantive stories that you can sink your teeth into. So yeah, it's a problem.
Well, I'm hoping that one day social media, Facebook, Twitter, all of them will require you to have photo ID and you have to give your name and you'll be legally accountable for whatever you say. Because I think it changes. It changes how information is getting out there. And the fact that somebody is doing a news story on a Facebook post to me, that's not journalism. I need to know. I need to know where the CBC uncovered the story about the forged documents and the bribes. That's news to me. I'll give them credit for that one. That's news to me, and that's what I think most people want, not because somebody made a comment on Facebook and it's somebody just being a real person who has kids. And I don't think he wasn't like you said, he pulled it back, but he wasn't saying, let's grab our pitchforks and let's find this person. Um,
Yeah.
he said what I think all of us were thinking. If anyone has broken the law and caused that kind of devastation, and they're not Canadian citizens, then they should be deported, which we have
Uh,
done in the
people
past.
people are allowed to be angry. I can't remember his last name, the MP from Winnipeg Center, Pat. He was the NDP MP. Uh, I can't remember now, but he would be quite emotional, quite explosive on Twitter, and people condemned him for it. And I actually liked seeing this human side of the politicians. I don't want to see these kind of robots that are constantly disciplining themselves and stepping on eggshells at every single thing that comes out of their mouth is being focus grouped ahead of time. I actually like to see politicians speak authentically, and I kind of hate to see it when they get discouraged from doing so.
Well, I can tell you, I was certainly discouraged when I spoke out, and I'm glad I'm in this chair now and not that one. Thank you very much for your insight on this. Very, very welcomed insight, and I appreciate you taking the time. And we'll talk again next week.
Thanks so much, Kevin.